Hey everyone, I'm Jordan Banderas, the host of the Bad Influence podcast, and I thought I'd influence you badly with today's episode. But before we get started, don't forget to smash the subscribe or follow button so you don't miss out on any episodes. So let's get started. So, people have told me that it must have been nice to move to a new country and start over with a new life. And I'm not gonna lie, my life did change for the better. However, I feel like I need to share my struggle in regards to this because a few years ago, I realized that I was illiterate. That's right, I was illiterate for a long time because when I moved here, I literally lost my ability to read and write. Now, that happened because English was not my first language. So I wasn't prepared at all to adjust to my new life in the United States. And when I tried to learn the language, I couldn't practice it with any of my friends since they didn't speak a lick of English. And at home, my mom didn't speak it as well. And when I tried to practice it with other people, they will make fun of my accent. Those fucking assholes. And sometimes they will say to me, "Oh, your accent is so funny." Or and even there's been times where people will say to me, "You're saying it wrong," but they wouldn't help me pronounce it the right way. So I'm like, then why are you criticizing it? If you're not willing to help, don't criticize it because it just makes the other person feel bad. So when they would do this, or when they will say this, I will literally shut down and not say anything. I will just be like, I'm just going to be quiet. You won't be able to understand me. I'm going to get pissed. You're going to make fun of me. I'm going to get pissed. And probably we're going to end up getting in a fight. And also because I was always scared that I will not be able to explain myself correctly. Now, it took me a long time to realize that I was illiterate. It took me 20 years because the people closest to me will say, "Your English is so good, Jordan, keep it up." So I was like, I know, right? Because I didn't want to accept that it wasn't. But the reality was completely different since my grammar was so bad that I will always write run-on sentences. And it happened so many times. People will be like, "What?" Because I didn't know how to use commas, periods, semicolons, colons, anything. And I will actually do the same thing when I will try to talk to someone. So I wasn't making a lot of sense since I was trying to speak English as if it were Spanish, which obviously wasn't going to work. Duh, because English translates a little bit different. And since nobody was correcting me, I thought I was doing a good job when it comes to speaking English, so I didn't really care to improve. Now, one thing that you may ask is, how come you never noticed it before if people were making fun of your accent, right? Well, the answer to that is that when the people closest to me told me that my English was good, that was like an ego boost. I was like, oh yeah, I was like, yeah, my English is good. This person that I see like a dad or whatever, or my mom, they will be like, "Oh, your English sounds so good," even though they didn't speak it as well. So it didn't really help me because when I married my wife, who turns out to be white, and she will tell me that I wasn't making any sense when I will try to speak to her, I would get mad. I was like, "But these other people said my English was good. Why can't you understand me?" Like, I was getting mad. I thought she was doing it on purpose just to make me feel bad because that's how I was feeling about the whole situation. But this wasn't the case. So when my wife realized that I was trying to speak English and wasn't punking her, she asked me if I had been able to pay attention in school. Now, She asked me this because she wanted to know how she could help me. She was like, I need to help you communicate, you know? She was like, I need to help you learn English. So my answer to that was, fuck no. Because I couldn't understand what the teachers were saying. So I would fall asleep in class or not go to class at all. I was like, what's the point since I wouldn't understand it anyway? So I will go somewhere else with my friends. My wife was like, I don't know how you graduated then if you were never in school. I was like, you know what? Me neither. But I got my diploma. I didn't get a GED. I got my diploma, so I did pretty good on that one. Now, one of the things that happened after having this conversation with my wife is that she mentioned that I'm not the only one with issues speaking or writing English, because once you are done with school, many people don't really care about grammar or how they sound anymore. I'm one of them. And when she said that at first, I was like, there's no way that's true, because you think that once you graduate, or once you see somebody else graduate and they have like a good job or anything like that, they're like, you're like, oh, they must be so good or whatever. But in this situation, I happened to be working in an office environment, so I began to pay attention. And it turned out that there were supervisors, managers, VPs, and even the CEO of the company who were making the same errors when speaking and writing. I also noticed that people on social media were making the same mistakes as me. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is pretty interesting. So when I realized this, I told Katie about it. And she was like, see? You're not as bad as you think. And I was like, meh, that's true. I'm not as bad, because some of these people that were making this kind of mistakes have been born here. Like, they've been here their entire lives. I wasn't. That's not an excuse, but still, they have like an advantage over me. So, but when my wife said that I wasn't as bad as I thought I was, that actually made me feel good for once. So, one of the things that happened is that after I noticed that even the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company was making the same types of mistakes I was making, I was like, well, all I can do is improve from this point on. And maybe I can be a CEO someday as well. Since apparently you don't need to be 100% good at speaking and writing based on what I saw working for this particular company. So because of this, I knew I had to ask my wife to help me improve my skills. And she gladly accepted, which I'm very grateful for. And I also told her to correct me every time I made a mistake. And that whenever she corrects me, I needed her to explain the kind of errors that I was making so I could understand what needs to be fixed. And I know that drives her crazy because I ask a lot of questions. I really do. I'm always like, why does it have to be said this way and not that way? So it's kind of interesting because it helps us with our communication, but it creates frustration too. But it's actually good for the two of us. Now, she wasn't ready to do all of this for me, but she has been able to help me a lot. She helped me go from an illiterate person to someone that has been able to improve his writing and speaking skills. Now, I feel like being able to communicate is a necessary skill to improve your life. I say this because I improved my life by learning this myself at 33 years old. I was 33 when I started doing this. So it was just 2 years ago. And we also need to understand that others may not be at the same skill level as us when we see them struggling. Like in my case, when I was trying to speak with others and I will stutter or I will say the words wrong, I wasn't at the same skill level as somebody that was born here, So because of this, I kind of feel like we should be able to ask them if they need help. And if we are the ones asking or if we are the ones being asked if we need help, we need to put our egos aside and accept it, because we might learn something that could help us improve our lives for the better. And in my opinion, it is better to go from an illiterate person in life to being a learner, since we can always learn something new. That's just me. That's how I've been the last 2 years. I have been able to learn so much by learning how to read, by learning how to write. And like I said, it has changed my life. That's why I wanted to share this with you guys today, because I have seen a lot of people that struggle the same way as me. Like some of the people that I work with, they really don't know how to write. They really don't know how to speak. So they get so mad because nobody's able to understand them. So I tell them like, hey, you know what? I know how it feels, but this one is on you, buddy. You need to learn. And I try to help them as much as I can. So because I have seen that struggle in me. So if you're struggling and you feel like you're not able to read, it could be dyslexia or something like that, or in my case, you didn't really pay attention in school, that's okay, because one of the things that you can do in life, it's always learn. And that's one of the things that I leave you with. Become a learner. You can go from being an illiterate person to somebody that can actually learn something new, including communicating and communication, writing, speaking, and it will open doors for you, because it has done it for me. And that's pretty much what I wanted to share with you guys in today's episode. Leave your thoughts about this topic in the comments, and don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. We are on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube with the Bad Influence Podcast handle. And you can send me a DM on social media or email me at bjordanthebadinfluence@gmail.com if you have any suggestions about what topics you want me to talk about, or questions that you want me to answer on the podcast. You can also send me a message. And I leave you with this. Improving the way you can communicate will open doors for you that have been closed for a long time. And I also leave you with this other one. Have a great day.